Hello, good afternoon, dear viewers. Very nice to join you today afternoon. Today, my name is Vijay Hirani, and unfortunately, Nitish Bhai can't make it, so I'm the lucky one to replace him today. So, welcome, dear viewers, and if you like videos, please press the like button and share with friends. Thank you. So,
go. First of all, the viewers don't know you. Let me introduce you properly. Vijay Hirani is the right-hand man for Hindu Academy's work in the academic field. He has been training so many youngsters to study Hinduism over so many years that lots of these youngsters will get 100% marks thanks to his hard work. So he's not an ordinary person. He seems very ordinary. He's extraordinary, like almost everybody. But we are kind of our work is kind of consists of about a dozen or so very devoted volunteers, and Vijay Hirani is one of them. Anyway, Vijay, let's carry on.
Okay, so first of all, I just recently realized that you did a recording on BBC on the caste issue, and I'm really keen to know what actually happened, because it's a big hoo-ha about this in the UK a while back. Yes,
indeed. You see, the BBC, the high-powered BBC, approached me about 6 months or 1 year back saying, Mr. Lakhani, how can you present Hinduism into the media in the BBC? I said, no problem. So we had 3 big meetings, long meetings for 1 hour each. And I said, promote the following ideas of Hinduism which are relevant for the world that we live in. The ideas were basically very simple. The idea of religious pluralism, spiritual democracy, so that people don't kill each other in the name of religion. I said, put that in, number 1. Number 2, I said, put in the idea of spiritual humanism. You are not just matter, lump of matter like Richard Dawkins. We are something more than matter, and this was spiritual humanism. I said, this is the second feature that you must promote in the media. And the third thing I said, unlike other religions, Hinduism has no difficulty with the esoteric ideas of science today. The ideas of quantum and consciousness sit very well with the deeper vision of Hinduism, which is principle oriented. So I said these are the ideas you must promote on BBC. And after 3 big meetings, finally he came back and said, what have we agreed now? What are you going to present? He said, Mr. Lakhani, we decided that the way we are going to promote pluralism is very simple. We are going to tell there's going to be a pilgrimage of a Christian minister from London going to Spain. I said, that's pluralism? Very sad. I said, what about spiritual humanism? He said, no, we have no plans for it. The reason is very simple. BBC is controlled by a Christian lobby, and the idea of that you are not the sinners, but you are if you like, the divinity on earth. This is kind of incredibly opposite to what Christianity teaches. So there's no way they're going to promote that. What about science and Hinduism? They say, well, we already have some other ideas in our mind, so we'll leave it for the time being. And then I said, what are you actually going to present? And this is what I heard. They said 2 things we're going to present this year on BBC regarding Hinduism. One is the caste system, and the second is Diwali, fireworks and feasting. Oh, wonderful! So we show Hinduism in this light. And they came to interview me last week regarding the caste issue. And I was very rough. I hope they don't edit me out when the actual program goes out in autumn. I said, this is on BBC One TV, so it's a very important slot. I said, look, if you want to ban or put in that clause, legal clause that no discrimination based on caste, then I just add one more word, no discrimination based on caste or class. And they were amazed by it. What do you mean by class? I said, look, the English class system is precisely the same as the Hindus' hereditary hierarchical caste system, no different. By mere birth, you are something special. Like the Queen, for example, she's not only head of the state just by mere birth, she's head of the church too. I said, you've beaten us. So this is the class that you must attack and challenge. Be challenging. I said, I'm quite open to that. And I think they have taken all these comments, and I don't know how much of it will get through on the actual edited version, but I've done my bit. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on this issue of caste that BBC keep rubbing in our face, because they think there's a weakness of the tradition. Let's show that. And I say it's not a weakness, it is very clear, it's a human failing, nothing to do with our religion.
Okay, thank you so much. It was very interesting. Okay, I have some other interesting questions today. One question I have is that in this day and age, a lot of people live together. I mean, at one time, I think in India, they said Gandharva weddings where only nature was witness of Gandharva, no humans around. The question is, today, as you can see, the society is changing so much. So what is your view on people living together or getting married in the forest or something? Yes?
Well, in the forest they might try it. I don't mind, but in English weather I don't think it's very recommended. Yeah. But the thing is this, look, we are not a prescriptive tradition. Some traditions are very prescriptive. You must do this and you must go in a church and blah blah. We are not prescriptive at all. So we had, see, ancient times, we had lots of different kinds of viva or marriage ceremonies, and one was Gandharva viva, where the couple basically they love each other. Perhaps they go to a temple and just put garland on each other, and they say in front of the image of deity or whatever they love, they say we are married, full stop, no other ceremonials, nothing, and they can live together. Now suppose we say, what about today's world? Today's world, do you think these people, the people that we interact with, are bothered about ceremonials and traditions? If they like each other, couple, they might even kind of start living with each other without getting married. This is a reality. They say, why should we get married? Why should we get hitched? Maybe we don't like each other after 6 months, so let us just live together. If things work out, we continue to live together. As long as the living together happens in a spirit of loyalty, responsibility regarding the children, etc., then there's nothing that goes against the deeper teaching of Hinduism. So don't be frightened by it. So we are very open to that. Vijay, I must also touch on something else that some viewers were asking me. Yes, Mr. Lakhani, you sometimes vilify the word secularism. So what is going on? What is this secularism? Why are you vilifying it? You see, secularism comes in two flavors. First of all, let's define secularism. Secularism says a person wants to lead his life without reference to a religion or a god. So he doesn't want to be kind of controlled by the idea of religion, saying, this is how you should conduct yourself and you're going to heaven or hell or all these scenarios. So that's why we rather not bother with religion or even with the idea of a monotheist God. This is what is called secularism. People want to lead their own lives without, in a way, reference to any religion or without imposition by any religion or any tradition. Is there anything wrong with it? Think about it. What is Hinduism? Hinduism is not a religion. Religion means linking humanity with some super person. Hello, God, I'm here. Hinduism is not that. It is a dharma. Now, the word dharma is quite different. The word dharma says sorting ourselves out, our human condition. We find ourselves here. How do we lead our lives? So there's no God or religion involved. In fact, one of the Indic traditions that really subscribe to this particular vision is Buddhism. Buddhism is a very powerful tradition. It doesn't require a God or religion, the word religion. So it's called a dharmic tradition. Buddha simply says, I want to tell you how you lead your life so that you can successfully sort out yourself here and now, not in the hereafter. It's the most pragmatic of all tradition. So Buddhism is in fact perhaps the best example of positive secularism without reference to a god that came out of India, a dharmic tradition. And that is the positive way of looking at secularism. You can carry on your lifestyle in a very mindful manner, very successful manner, in a very peaceful and sober manner. That is why a lot of Westerners are drawn to Buddhism, not to Hinduism, because Hinduism come with all these colorful gods and gods, they get frightened of them. But Buddhism, no gods, so they are comfortable. So the positive side of secularism is sort yourself out without reference to a religion or a god. Fine. What's the negative side? I must mention this because this is the thing that we struggle with. The reason why we have such low number of people viewing us, somebody commented last time, is very simple. Majority human beings are only interested in their material needs and their material goals and the hype they created for themselves. Oh, I must have made so much money and I must go on holidays and I must do this and buy this for my children. So they are living in a very worldly manner, just looking after worldly requirements, not spiritual, worldly requirements. This is the negative side of secularism. It means they are completely, kind of engrossed with leading a very worldly life and ignoring the spiritual dimension. So this is the worst side of secularism. It becomes highly crass materialism. And that is where people like us would stand and say, we don't like this kind of secularism. In fact, that is the kind of secularism in the last 70 years, India had adopted. That's why it failed miserably. We prefer the Buddhistic style, saying how to lead your life in a very sober, sensible manner. And that is the kind of secularism that we would adopt, positive one, not this kind of crass, materialistic secularism. And Vijay, you know very well, this kind of very highly materialistic, secularism we see in the West, in European civilization, created 2 world wars. Millions of people are massacred because they were fighting for power, position, how to chop up the world and divide the world and swallow all the stuff from everybody. So purely materialistic aspirations created the 2 world wars. So this is the negative side to secularism. And in fact, only after the Second World War, Britain has learned the lesson. So the secularism you see in UK is perhaps the best one. It's very mature secularism. It recognized that this idea of going for power, position, stealing money from other colonies is outdated. So the secularism Britain is now adopted is very close to the Hindu idea. Egalitarian society, giving dignity to every human being. You can't see, I tell you, I live in London, it's very visible. Dignity to every human being, helping the weak, all this wonderful egalitarian system, parading as very mature social democracy, is the real secularism that I would happily promote. And this is no different from the spiritual vision that India or Hinduism possesses. Sorry, I went on.
It's very good.
That's good. I get caught up with this idea.
Actually, we have a question again on today on Facebook. Is if somebody wants to worship Brahman itself, how do they go about it? Because it's very abstract, right?
Well, absolutely. Look, this is the problem. When you want to worship Brahman, we are very clever, we are very naughty as well, and we are like very greedy about how to capture this deeper vision regarding spirituality. So we say academically, the only way you can define Brahman is Nirgun Nirakar, no shape, no attributes, nothing. So how do you handle it? No way. This is the nature of consciousness. Now what do you do with consciousness? It's nature of existence. What do you exist? How do we worship existence? So it doesn't have easy handle to grab. So we are very clever cookies, we know how we love to do this. We turn this Nirgun Nirakar Brahman into Sagun Sakar Brahman. You see, with qualities and shape as well. Not only, some religions don't like God to give shape to God. Hindus say, no problem, Sagun and Sakar. So we go to this colorful Vishnu and Shiva and Mother Goddess and Ram and Krishna. So be it. This is how. So if you want to worship Brahman, forget about worshipping existence, bliss, or consciousness. How are you going to worship that? But it's I like Mother Goddess with flowing here. Oh, I know mommy. And that's how you build a relationship with Sagun Sakar Brahman.
Okay, very good question. Okay, one question we have here as well on YouTube is that does Hinduism promote human killing in certain circumstances like the Mahabharata? Is that, how do you view that?
You see, every civilization since ancient times, when they wanted to appease the forces of nature, especially rain, they were using sacrifices, animal sacrifices as well as, sorry to make you shudder, human sacrifice. It's very visible in the Central American, civilizations. But Hindus, there is mention in the Vedas of Narvad, killing a human being, sacrificing human. But again, fortunately, thankfully, there are none recorded cases in the recent past, or the last for a few thousand years. So perhaps we did think about it, but perhaps we did not, go ahead with it. But it is mentioned, so please be aware of that. But again, some of the stories are so ancient, we don't know actually whether some kind of human sacrifice took place or not. And maybe it was just a, kind of allegoric or just purely narrative, colorful, but perhaps no human sacrifice. But fortunately, it has not taken place over many thousands of years.
But how in the case of war like the Mahabharata war, the Dharma war, how do you view that?
You see, the thing is this, again, this idea of how do you lead a life? You must look at the context. The Hindu tradition recognizes that you must operate in the context in which you find yourself. If you can resolve human conflict in a humane manner without resorting to violence, we promote that ahimsa, we promote the idea. At the same time, we say there are certain situations where you have no scope, no chance of standing up for your rights. So you have to take up arms to defend yourself because you too are divine. You can't let other people walk all over you. So in the case of, say, Hitler, Hindus would fight Hitler happily. But in the case of Britain, they say, these guys have got a soft corner, so we will catch them out by using non-violent way of getting independence. So depending on the context, you can either take up arms, like in the Mahabharata story, Krishna said, we have no choice here. We have to stand up, otherwise we'll get wiped out. So we have to stand up and fight for our rights. So sometimes you have to look at the context, and then your tradition allows you to think like that. It's not fixed, you can't do this, you can do. No, you decide. Look at the context and you decide. Even in individual, you decide.
Okay, no, very good. Okay. There's one other question we have here on YouTube, which is asking that, does one's geographical location affect one's spiritual enhancement? Like if you go in the Himalayas, is it better to meditate or should it be the same everywhere?
Okay, to start off, when you start a spiritual journey, you require all the kind of tools you can possibly get. Like when you're starting to do some new study in some science, you need to have sharpen your pencil, get your nice paper and ruler and compass and all that. So when you want to start a particular enterprise, including religious journey or spiritual journey, you may use some other tools to help you along to start your journey. So I would say the same. The reason why some of the places of pilgrimage were chosen is because of their geographic beauty. Because when you see the Himalayas, straight away your mind is lifted straight away. I'm telling you from experience, it does get lifted. You see the magnanimous nature of this mountain range, and it will lift you. In the same way, for example, when I see thunderstorms, I get, I enjoy thunderstorms. So different people perhaps require some external physical aid or tools to begin their spiritual journey. That is how you begin your spiritual journey. But let me tell you, once you start your journey, you don't require these externals. In fact, my mentor said something very nice, Sri Ramakrishna. He said, if a person in the middle of the night suddenly feels tremendous urge to sort himself out, what is going on? Who am I? Feels that urge to resolve his human condition, middle of the night. And he said in the mosquito net, he's sitting there because the mosquitoes will tell him what he's all about. He'll sit cross-legged and just close his eyes and try and suss out his condition. So no external tools, no Himalayas. So you can be spiritual, quietly sitting cross-legged on your bed in the middle of the night and reach out to the higher ideals or higher aspirations that the Hindus promote.
Oh, thank you. There's quite a few questions on Atman, Brahma and meditation. I'll just put them in one go. How do you realize your true nature using techniques like meditation? What does sensation feel like when you have that?
Okay, you see, I do mention, and at this I warn our viewers again and again, and I've done it again. I'm not trying to score points. Please be very aware. Unless somebody is speaking about spirituality from first an encounter or first an experience, don't get caught up. Because then they will be selling you a hype, selling you some gimmick, selling you some waffle, some kind of witty banter, and you get caught up. Say, oh, so clever! Oh, yeah. See, you're lost. So, first question is, go to the person you feel is spiritually enlightened and bluntly ask him, is spirituality a matter of experience for you, or just book learning, or just kind of articulate way of doing your gymnastic, mental gymnastics? What is it? Is it for real or for you? And you know how sometimes when you go and ask, they will kind of give you a waffle. I mean, I know one kathakar, when they say, sir, have you seen God? He rub his beard and say, I get a feeling. I said, that's not good enough. That shows that this guy doesn't have any clue what he's talking about. He's using this colorful narrative, but that's all he is. So be aware. First thing is always be very, very suspect everybody. Don't tolerate anybody. So, for example, when I was a youngster and I was searching for how do I get my spiritual aspirations, I looked at Ramana Maharshi as this guy, 24 hours, 7 days a week, establishing God consciousness. I looked at Ramakrishna Paramahansa, anybody mention the word spirit or religion or God, he goes, yeah, goes into spiritual experience straight away, instantaneously. So when I meet people or come across such individuals who are spiritually enlightened, I feel safe. So what happens when you get spiritual experience? Look, we are so happy with the world that we live in. You see this mundane, very colorful, material world that we encounter. We are caught up with all these colorful gizmos and we are busy with our little lives, and so nothing wrong with it. And it's so engrossing, we don't get a chance to even think higher, that there's something higher. We can't believe that. Somebody says, oh, the spiritual experience, oh, come on now. It's just a buzz in your brain or something. It can't be anything real. But then, if you are lucky, look, and I'm telling you, many viewers, perhaps they don't realize, but they are lucky. Sometimes while they're doing something very menial, kind of cleaning their house or whatever, they suddenly get a glimpse of a deeper reality. So what is the first experience like? You see, many of you may relate to this. Just for no reason, suddenly the whole world seems to slow down. The whole creation seems to slow down. Your mind seems to slow down. And you get an uplifting feeling that you are one with the whole creation. This is the first thing. First, a tremendous peace descends on you, and then you feel at one with the whole of creation, not just some human being and mountains, something. The whole of creation appears as if it's your projection. So it happens for a few seconds, and then it disappears. You're back to normal, cleaning and cooking and whatever. But if you have that inkling, there's something more to this reality, and there's a deeper dimension to us, which is essentially non-material, non-intellectual, not more emotional. That deeper vision, that deeper insight that you get with just an instant of, that will lead you to a greater exploration of spirituality. That's what spiritual experience is. Just giving a glimpse of how it starts.
We have a question on the screen on Facebook, which is very good, and I want to answer this question as well. We have major systems of philosophy, and Vedanta is a big system. It's got some really amazing stuff, the great thoughts of our ancient acharyas, Shankaracharya, Advait, Ramanuja, Vishishtadvait, Madhava, Dvait, and Chaitanya, all these. Such amazing stuff, and it's a pity that very few people actually know. Can we simplify it some way and pass the nature of reality and existence discussed in this kind of philosophies? It really be good if you can give it to everybody in a simple format. Is it possible or not?
Yes, okay, sure, I'll do my best. I'm not that clever, but I'll do my best. Okay, you see, Vedanta means, if you like, conclusion of the Vedas. And how did this particular phenomena start? It started with Sankhya Darshan, where the first time one individual said, we are not the body, we are more than the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, we are much more. That's the beginning of real Hinduism, spirituality. Before that it was materialistic. So you start Sankhya Darshan. Then it was developed further by Patanjali with the yoga philosophy, which says, yes, you are something special here, the observer and the observed world, Purush and Prakriti. Then he added one more category, saying there's something else which can call super personality. So he introduced the idea of Ishwar or God in the Yoga Sutras. Then we come to the Vedanta philosophy. Now, Vedanta philosophy is a very unusual feature because it in a way was revived by Adi Shankara, because Hinduism had gone into this crass materialistic stage just after Buddha. After a few hundred years after Buddha, India had gone into a crass materialistic stage. And the only way it can be rescued was by focusing on the deepest vision that Hindus can come up with. And this is what happened about 1200 years ago with Adi Shankara. So Adi Shankara, a young man from South India, Kerala, was spiritually enlightened. That's the first requirement. You can't do this work unless you're enlightened. But he had tremendous sharp intellect. So just using his intellect, he went all over India and in a way removed this crass materialistic vision that was kind of promoted all over India. Just one young man, I should say, and revived Hinduism with Advaita Vedanta. Now, Advaita Vedanta, people say, is not any different from Buddhism because it doesn't require a God. It says you are essentially something special and more than matter. And this Advaita Vedanta really won the hearts and minds of India. And that is why India revived, Adi Shankara revived Hinduism in India. Adi Shankara is the master. And Advaita Vedanta, I tell you, philosophically is a very solid system. It sits with quantum physics, it sits with everything you can think of in modern science. So Advaita Vedanta is a solid foundation to Hinduism. But the problem is this, Advaita Vedanta talks of Nirgun Nirakar Brahman. Somebody just asked about that. Now this is a tricky chap to capture. You can say Sat Chit Anand or Asti Bhati Priya, but how do you handle it? How do you grab it? Impossible. So you see, we have this another great master, Ramanujacharya. I tremendous love this man because he's a pragmatic person. He says, okay, this is Nirgun Nirakar, it's okay. We require to polarize our mind. We need to require focusing. So he said, let's focus on Vishnu. And he started Vishishta Advaita, means qualified non-dualism. And this is how, if you like, the second version of Vedanta. So first was very highly, even now if I want to take on philosophy challenges, I can't use Vishishta Advaita, I have to use Advaita and I win. But then if you want an ordinary person to relate to spirituality, not just do philosophy challenges, but actually relate to it, better to talk on Vishishta Advaita. Think of ultimately as a polarized super personality and link up with that person, and then you got some kind of handle on this thing called Brahman. So this is the Vishishta Advaita. So this is up to here I have no difficulty. Advaita is the deeper philosophic vision. Vishishta Advaita is, if you like, a pragmatic way of becoming spiritual for ordinary human being. We read it all ordinary. I, for example, cannot live without my mentor Ramakrishna. Oh, Ramakrishna, see, I'm stuck. So we require some personality to polarize our idea of spirituality. But then there was a third version, which is called the Advaita Vedanta, which I cannot relate to Madhvacharya. The reason is very simple. He said some human beings are andhatma, means they will never get enlightened. They are permanently, negative. And these kind of words I don't like because it flies in the face of Advaita Vedanta, which is essentially every living thing, the whole of this creation, nothing but expression of the divine. Brahman manifesting as creation and as human being. So nobody can be andhatma. So that's why I move away from Madhvacharya.
Yeah. Okay, we got another question from YouTube from Priya Ranjan, which is very heartening to me as well. When I look at Swami Vivekananda's life, which I really love, somebody who is so great, he can sit with the great professors and he sit there also in the jungle with the Adivasis, equally comfortable, yes, a master. But he made such a big effort in removing poverty. What can we learn from his life and how can he use his teachings to remove poverty today?
You see, very true. You see, his heart, he looked very stern and very majestic and very academic, and yet his heart was softer than a flower petal, very soft heart. I'll give you one example. This, great Vivekananda, the great intellectual giant, became famous worldwide and went back to his, Calcutta, and his Guru Bhais, his fellow disciples were sitting around, and he was giving a lecture on the highest philosophy, Advaita Vedanta. And one of the lay disciples called Girish Chandra Ghosh was sitting around and listening. This naughty Girish Chandra Ghosh, I'll talk about him some other time. He said, Swami, I just have one question. You got this wonderful philosophy, wonderful Advaita Vedanta. What has it done for your people? You see, because India is struggling with poverty, degradation, no food, the people are hardly able to survive. He asked a very pointed question at Vivekananda. He said, what has these Vedas, Advaita Vedanta, done for your people? And this is how I show you the heart of this man. This Vivekananda, this great master, started to cry like a baby. he stopped his lecturing and he was crying. It was difficult to console him. His brother decided to move him away, take him away from the meeting, and keep petting him on the back. Say, it's okay, don't worry, don't worry. This is Vivekananda, great master, and yet tremendous love for his people. You know what he said once? He said, let me live again and again, come back again and again, so I can serve the only God I believe in, the sum total of humanity. This is where I see my God, a struggling God. As long as my God is struggling, I want to be reborn again and again, undergo a lot of misery, so I can serve the only God I believe in, the sum total of humanity. See, here is why spiritual humanism comes alive. It's not just lecturing, so everybody is essentially divine. He actually sees, anywhere he sees, from time to time, there were famines in Bengal, and Vivekananda had built up this Belur Math, not a big institution, minor institution. And every time the famine happened, he would get up and say, what are we doing here? Let's sell everything and give it away. And his brother says, please leave it alone, don't sell it off. So he was prepared to walk away, sell off everything, anytime, any moment, like that. And he would have done it. But somehow something held him back, because that Belur Math has become an important place from people like me can learn about what Vivekananda has left behind. So there's always a struggle for him, because he was prepared to jump the fence and give away everything for the betterment of greater humanity. Look, Narendra Modi has been inspired by Vivekananda for this reason. He was looking for the greater good, not for his personal good. Same, you see Narendra Modi inspired by trying to do greater good. Vijay, you just mentioned how he has done something. You can mention.
Yeah, I think I just heard the news a few days ago that in Haryana in India, there's a big issue with caste. All the village heads have taken an oath to remove their caste name totally and put village name. And for the first time, they'll allow people to marry across caste. So Harijans can marry Kshatriyas. So it's starting now, and I think it's big influence from the top Indians leaders. Yes, and it's a very good thing for India. I think. Yes, it takes generations, but it'll happen. Yes,
it's good. Look, it's a very stodgy system, and it's already corrupted to the core. It's not going to be easy to remove all this corruption and bring in these positive ideas about looking after the poor. But look at the way Narendra Modi is kind of defined caste now. When I heard it, I was a bit taken aback. He said there are only two castes: those who need help and those who can help. Now you can't do it. You can see this novelty comes. This kind of novel approach comes from the inspiration of Vivekananda, and that is why this man he lived his life. He bled to death for the betterment of his people.
Yeah. Okay, on a different topic now. Somebody has asked a question that if we have such wonderful, profound ideas in Hinduism, which he can really change people's lives, then why can't we do missionary work and go and tell others to do it? Yes, it's no point just having those ideas. Yes,
that's what we are doing. That's what
in the West. I mean, in the West.
Look, we are in the West here, and I tell you, when I go to schools, colleges, or you go, Vijay, you also go to many schools and assemblies. Yeah. When we go there, this kind of lovely ideas we possess. Very potent ideas, very powerful ideas we possess about dignifying humanity. We are not sinners, we are the spark of the divine. This wonderful idea that this modern society sorely needs, because they're looking for spirituality, they don't know where to look, so they take these blue tablets and all that. This is not where spirituality is. To recognize the divinity and dignity of humanity. This is called spiritual humanism. I promote it everywhere I go. And when I do assemblies at top colleges and I mention the word spiritual humanism, they start applauding without stopping. So this is, if you like, the ongoing story.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes this kind of plays up. Okay, reconnect. Sorry, the YouTube is kind of playing up a little bit. We'll get around.
So, okay. So that's an interesting question. One of the questions I also have is that this is somebody has asked me, some young person, in the temples we go to, sometimes the men and women are made to sit separately. And they think that's strange. What is your view on that?
Yes, good. You see, in Islam, I must mention this, there is always been like that. The women are asked to sit at the back and the men are sit in the front, or sit completely separate. They can't see each other. And some of the Hindu sectarian movements do the same. What's the reason? Always don't vilify people. There is a reason behind. The reason is this. They say when you are going to a place of, for making spiritual progress, you don't want gender attraction to get in your way. Gender attraction is not a minor thing. It's like a real virus. So when you say beautiful lady or a beautiful handsome man, your eyes are attracted. You forget God and all these things. You just keep looking at their hairstyle. So it's a major distraction. And some of the spiritual giants, gurus, etc., including in other religions, recognize this, and that is why they wanted to make sure this gender attraction doesn't get involved in the place of worship. And that is why they were doing this partitioning. But then you see, the world is moving on, and now, for example, in some sectarian movements, they were saying the women should sit at the back. Now they say, no, they sit side by side, keep them distant, at the same time give them equal dignity. So this is how, you see, we are an evolving religion. So we continue to evolve and take on the challenges and explain why things were done in this manner, not to vilify, a guru or a teacher.
We have a very interesting question from Monica Kumari, which I really like. The question is, what is love? Radha Krishna's story have been inspired the spiritual bond that has inspired so many people to do so many bhajans, so many songs, but they're not married in the real sense. So what do you think of that combination?
Monica Kumari, you would put all the poor Vaishnavas, especially Krishna devotees, into real trouble by asking such very pointed questions. Isn't it strange? From what I know a little bit, I've studied a little bit of Krishna's life. From what I know, Radha was much older than him, and she was a married woman. Now, if you say that he is your God-man, carrying on or trying to build a kind of loving relationship with a married woman, there will be a real hoo-ha everywhere. So this is, again, when Krishna gets married, he doesn't get married. This is purely, I would suggest, exaggeration. 16,108 wives. Now, Radha is not there. So what is going on now? Is the extramarital affair? What's going on? So please be aware. Take it with a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. There was some lady there, perhaps in Vrindavan, that was very strongly drawn to the spiritual aspiration of Krishna. It's not physical love. Please be careful. Because when you see these ZTV movies and they're falling in love and the pink, everything turns pink and they start dancing around the bushes and the forest dancing and woohoo, there's no such thing. Even though they're showing in films Radha and Krishna dancing around, when there is a real spiritual love, not physical love, spiritual love, the love is so strong, the individuals forget they have a body. See, they rise above their body consciousness. That is called spiritual love. So the love between Radha and Krishna, I would suspect, was spiritual love. They were not interested in physical activity with each other. They were rising over that at the body. They felt at one, at a deeper level, at a spiritual level. That is the highest kind of love. That is why this is called Madhur Bhav. Only few devotees develop that kind of very high powered love, whereby they see their Ishtadev as their sweetheart, and that is acceptable. This is not physical love. Please be aware. Don't turn it into some kind of Bollywood scenario. But Hinduism and Bollywood is good, is bad habit. Look, I tell you this. People say, Mr. Lakhani, why don't they make a film about Swami Vivekananda? I said, if they do it, they'll turn into a Bollywood movie with all this kind of emotional baggage and all this kind of churning into sentimentality and turn poor Vivekananda into this one of this. So leave him alone. A picture of Vivekananda Ramakrishna will appear in days to come, but it won't be from the Bollywood kind of crowd. It will happen from very likely from outside. So be it.
Okay. I just interesting comment from Lane Eden, which I loved. Very beautiful song. Shyam Teri Bansi Pukai Radha Naam. Beautiful.
Sure.
Anyway, next question I have. It's now a bit more pointed question. There's a question very pointed, is that there's some Muslim clerics who deliberately undermine, in a very subtle way, Hinduism and other religions too. How do we tackle these people?
Yes, with great caution. I tell you why. You see, there is one particular Muslim cleric who has done tremendous harm to Hinduism and other religions too, and his method is very simple. You see, in Islam, one of the things they'll do is they learn how to memorize. That's a special. You have to memorize the Quran from a very young age. So they're very good at memorizing. One of the great Muslims, astrophysicist, told me, Mr. Lakhani, the only thing I picked up from Islam was how to memorize. I said, oh dear. So now here is a Muslim cleric who has memorized. His specialty is memories. The Hindu gurus perhaps don't have that good a memory, but he's got very good, very sharp memory. So what he has done is this. He has picked up some kind of chapter and verse quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Purans, from the other Vedic scriptures, even Upanishads. He picked up some chapter and verse quotes, memorized them. He's deliberately picked the right chapter and verse quote that can help him promote his tradition over yours. And then he's memorized the verses from his particular tradition that will in a way look so positive and powerful, and ignore all the weak ones. So just pick the best ones from his and compare it with the worst one of yours. That is what he's doing. It's called text torturing. Text torturing. And the poor Hindus are so gullible. I think he once took on Shri Ravi Shankar on the stage, and Ravi Shankar appeared like a nobody. He seemed to know more chapter and verse quotes than Ravi Shankar, so he was made to look like nobody. So it's a foolish thing. Just recognize that he's just doing text torturing. You can take things out of context from one tradition and compare it with another tradition, and take it out of context and compare them and see, your tradition said this and my tradition said this, see? So he's got this habit of text. It's called text torturing, my friends. So once you know that, and you say, look, this telling to start talking about religious ideas without quoting chapter and verse from any religion, including his own religion. See how he handles it. He'll fail because nothing more. He just got chapter and verse, chapter and verse code. Wow, he's so clever. He just memorize certain chapter and verse code that suits his requirement. So be aware of it. But if you ask him to talk without quoting any chapter or verse, he will fail miserably. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, people, you see, the thing is, people say, Mr. Lakhani, why don't you take him on? Why don't you look at his, his particular scriptures and demolish him? I say, look, if you see a howling dog, you don't want to howl back. You don't reduce yourself to that level. So I'm not going to be, I'm not bothered. And I think we should just ignore him. The only thing is we have to make our public aware that he's using text torturing to demolish your own love of your own tradition. So watch it. Yeah. Don't watch him, by the way.
Okay, one other question we have is, I think you've answered this before, but it's good to ask again, is that from Ontor Roy saying that if God is one, then all the mesh avatars should come all over the world, not only India and perhaps Arab lands. So then how can you say God is universal if he only comes in India? Yes.
Let me be naughty. I've been naughty with it. I've been known to be naughty, and it's my nature. I can't help myself. And this question was actually asked by some Christian ministers to me. They said, Mr. Lakhani, you got so many avatars, so many God people being born in India. Why should we like the partisan? Why should God be partisan towards India and not be born in other part of the world? That's the same question in a nice, gentle manner, but I'm very naughty. I said, I'll tell you why. This God has kind of become addicted to India and Hindus. He's addicted because when he's born there, they start beating drums and worship him and do all these wonderful, colorful things around him. They love it. So that's why God says, this is a good place to be born because I get respected and I get valued straight away. I said, this God once, I'm very rude, made a mistake of being born outside India in the Middle East. And you guys, what did you do to him? You mercilessly crucified him. So this God said, this place I don't avoid. I don't want to go through this process again. That is why he keeps being born in India again and again. But the Christian guys are very naughty as well. They said, Mr. Lakhani, maybe because he thinks you need to be sorted out more than we do. They have to take your reason as well. You must be open to such kind of fun way of interacting.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question from Kumari Dave, which I really think is very pointed. We live such a fast-paced life today and really stressed life. How do we make time for spiritual, how do you see things from a spiritual perspective? What do we do? I mean, can you
look, that? Most of us, almost all of humanity is caught up with their worldly affairs. Do we blame them? They are sorting themselves out. They've got family to look after, their personal needs, and they get caught up and they get very engrossed with this kind of worldly life. Do you mean we vilify the horrible people? How dare you? You can't help it. You see, humanity has to undergo this process of just sorting themselves out in the family circumstances and sorting their own personal requirements. But then, you see, what will happen is, if the stirring up is from within, it has to come from within. By the way, don't think just external gurus, you kind of become enlightened. Stirring has to come from within, then the guru will appear. When the stirring is from inside, something is not right. I'm just sorting myself out on short-term basis. When I look after my personal needs, I want a long-term resolution. When that stirring comes from within, you're looking for a long-term sorting yourself on a long-term basis, then that stirring will then allow you to make room, make time for kind of making spiritual progress. And how do you do that? Two things I would suggest again and again. One is, this is my mentor Ramakrishna's teaching. He said, first of all, make sure you develop the right company. These things, minor thing, it's not minor. You see, we get caught up with all these kind of companions who are perhaps talking about nothing but worldly affairs. And if you're kind of mixing up with them, you cannot raise your level of awareness to something higher. So you kind of also kind of wallowing in the same thing that they are wallowing in. So your company is very important. People say, no, I'm aloof, I don't get caught up. Oh, you get caught up. Everybody gets caught up. Something that you kind of interact with, some other human beings you interact with, their characteristics will definitely hit you. So develop good company. Be very watchful about the company you keep. Keep company of people who are talking of higher principles, higher ideals. And this American lady who said something nice, I forget her name. She said, when you meet somebody, ordinary conversation will talk about individuals. See this man, go see Bone, his wife has run away. They talk about individuals. It's the lowest level of interaction. The slightly higher level of interaction is where when you meet somebody, they're talking about not some individuals, vilifying or whatever. They're talking about events. See what's happened now? Oh, this is the condition of the global warming. They talk about events rather than individuals. This is a little higher. The third kind of individual you should link up with are people who talk about individuals, not about events, but of aspirations, higher aspirations. It may be sport, it may be art or music or philosophy. So these are the third level. So if you kind of link up with people who have got higher aspirations, spiritually oriented aspirations, you are in good company because they'll rub off on you as well and lift you as well. That's one thing. The second thing my mentor taught is, even if you're a householder, from time to time, take stock of your life. We don't get a chance. Just as you said, we live a very frenzied lifestyle. From time to time, you'll get a chance to take a back seat. Go into solitude, no family, nobody, and spend a day, half a day, thinking about how far you progress spiritually for yourself. This taking stock of your own progress in spirituality will in a way enhance your ability to progress further, because oh dear, whole last year went, I've done nothing. So this kind of taking stock of your own life in solitude is second thing that you should kind of aspire to. So these are the two kind of simple techniques that has been promoted by my mentor Sri Ramakrishna.
Okay, I think I've got a couple of other questions. I just want to combine some of them. In India, or in Indian philosophy, we have so many varied beliefs. We have the belief that both matter and spirit exist, only spirit exists, Charvak only matter exists, and the Buddhist none exist. So all these various beliefs, and also idol worship. Yet in Krishna Islam is so straightforward and simple. So why do we follow in all these different various beliefs? Why don't you take a simple route and then we sorted?
You see, we are greedy. The answer is very simple: greedy. We are greedy. We like to explore this idea called spirituality using different ways. We love it. Somehow it is ingrained in us. And again, I tell you, somebody asked about geographic reasons. People say, why are Hindus so attracted to this idea of exploring spirituality in so many different ways? Why are Hindus so blessed, if you like? The answer is very simple: geography. Since ancient times, where other civilizations were struggling, like with the European civilization, they were to fight nature external. So it's a very hard life here. So they were to survive, they were to keep fighting and producing these new gizmos they can survive all this machinery and mechanism and all this industrial revolution. So they had no choice but to focus on external world and in a way harness the external world. So they were kind of engrossed with making material progress, if you like, through science, etc. Nothing, you must understand it. We were blessed. Since ancient, for 20,000 years, this nation recently has been quite polluted. It was unpolluted with beautiful flowing rivers, clean drinking water, fruit, flower, everything. Throw any seeds, it will flourish, it will flower, and you soon get your crops, and you can eat, drink, and you had the luxury of not fighting nature external, but to look inward, to fight nature internal. So we had the luxury. That's why with the Kapil Muni looking inward, who the heck am I, first of all? So this luxury that we had, due to the geography of that place, allowed us to explore spirituality using many different formats. And again, you see, the same thing is visible, say, in the Jain tradition. They say anekantavad. Regarding nature of reality, there are many different views. The same thing appears in Hinduism as ekam asatya vipra bahuda vadanti. There are many different approaches you can take to approach the same ultimate reality. So that is why you see in Buddhism they say reality neither matter nor spirit. In the same thing, there's a Charvak will say only matter, just like Richard Dawkins, by the way. And people like us will say you can focus on variety of different approaches, and we can mix and match. Like a sweet shop, we go and mix and match. I like a little bhakti, a little karma. Now, so be it. We like to explore spirituality in all its variation.
Okay, one other question we have here is, again, I'll just elaborate a bit more. We are living, again, a fast-paced life, yes? We don't have the curiosity to find out what is true knowledge. The curiosity we had as children is lost now. We have to thinking about cars, big houses. So the curiosity we need to find out the nature of reality is lost. So how do we get that back, or can we?
You see, I'm optimist. Even though we are going through a patch where the technology is overtaking humanity, because it's really overwhelming humanity. That's why you want to play, PlayStation, all these games and all that, you are completely taken over. So, because the new things are being thrown in your face and they're so exciting and so engaging, it is impossible to draw this. Look, if you tell a youngster, 20 years ago when I started class in Hinduism, I could tell these youngsters about Hanuman, and now they loved it. Now you talk, they say, no, X-Men, Star Wars. See, all these technical gizmos. So, the world is moving very fast, and you can't now go backward, go in reverse. So you have to play ball. So don't lose heart. The same thing that your mythology was promoting thousands of years ago is now being presented, if you like, with modern mythology. So when you see this X-Men and Star Wars and all these heroes and superheroes, They're just focusing on the same ideology using these technical methods. So don't be nervous. I am very optimistic, very positive. Humanity is spirit underpinning, bubbling, so it cannot get lost. It'll do weird things, it'll go on a scenic route, but it'll find its way back to spirituality using different methods. So be it.
Yeah, very good. Okay, one other question we have is that, to practice yoga, it is said you have to practice ahimsa, satya, aparigraha, brahmacharya, and asteya, just to get a mindful meditation. How do you even reach that state, first of all? Forget meditation.
Look, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, especially Yam and Niyam, are very difficult. I'm warning you, if you've not tried it, you'll soon see. And the first and the last Yama disciplines are very tough cookies. First is Satya. And Satya simply says, be stickler, not just artificial, I'm very truthful, I'm a nice, gentle person, honest person. No, stickler. It's not easy. What you think, you say. See what happens straight away, your friends will be lost. And what you say, you have to follow through. And sometimes we say things in carelessness, saying, I'll see you tomorrow. But you can't, you're in trouble. So just simple things, it can't be that easy. Stickler for truth. This is number one. Out of all the 10 disciplines and observances Patanjali promote, if I say if you can hang on to just Satya, a stickler, I'm telling you, it will take you a long way toward becoming, ready for meditation. And of course, the last one in Yama is Brahmacharya. Now, this is important because you see, this gender attraction has been inbuilt on over thousands of years, millions of years. In fact, since living things came on earth, the way life progressed was through interaction, through genetic, through gender attraction, sexual attraction. It is ingrained in us over thousands of lives. So it's so strongly embedded in us, we can't, when it's a beautiful form passing by our eye stick, even if we don't want to. So it's embedded in us. So the gender attraction is it's a force that drives the whole creation. So when that force is within you and you are trying to make spiritual progress, it will really block you, stop you. So these two are very tough. Gender attraction is something you can slowly overcome. Don't lose heart. You are human, but don't lose heart. But be a stickler for truth, and I think you're already on a good wicket. There are some other things I must warn you. People don't realize in Raj Yoga, the two other major obstacles are, one is doubt. You heard Mr. Lakhani, you heard Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you heard Vivekananda Raj Yoga, but can it really work? Can I get a real glimpse? Is there something real, or is it just just waffle? First thing is doubt. They'll stop your progress. They say, I'm becoming doubtful now. I've been practicing for 5 years, nothing happened. Doubt it. Sanshaya, first thing. The second thing that can block your progress is ill health. Be careful. The physical body is a very important tool for making progress in every field, including spirituality. If the physical body lets you down, my friend, your progress will stop as well. These are the two major obstacles.
Yeah. We have a question we got earlier from Fisherman Gaming, and he was asking that for spiritual progress, is it true that you don't have to get married, or does marriage come in the way or not?
You see, it depends on the individual. Some individuals are blessed that they can, harness their gender attraction and say, I don't need to get married. And these are people like Vivekananda. They don't, Adi Shankara. They don't feel the urge to get married. They are fortunate. They can reason about the idea of gender attraction. They are fortunate. For them, no need to get married. But for majority of human beings, I would say 99.9% human beings, we are, in a way kind of infected with gender attraction. So it is very difficult. So the rule is this: rather than become promiscuous, find a partner, a loyal partner that you can relate to. And by the way, nowadays you can't say female partner, a partner that attracts you, same gender even. Find a loyal partner, develop a relationship with that, with loyalty and trust and kind of long-term kind of commitment. And then you are on safe ground because you now harness this very powerful force that is kind of in a way obstructing you. You harnessed it. It's not that you sorted yourself out. At least you harnessed it. You don't become promiscuous, and that in a way kind of guides you a little bit better. And then you see at some stage will happen where this kind of gender attraction, even with a loyal partner, will become unnecessary. And this will happen naturally as you and your partner continue your progress in spiritual life.
Okay. One other question we have as well is that, in the Mahavakyas of the Vedas, they are all Advaita in nature. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Ayam Atma Brahma, and Pragnanam Brahma. They always make Atma Brahman equal. But again, it's the highest teachings, yet on daily life it's not like that, yes?
Not only that, You see, I tell you, just as I was criticizing the Muslim cleric for text torturing, even in the Hindu tradition, we had different acharyas, and they have done the same thing. They, in a way, used some kind of text torturing when they are looking at the scriptures. The important three scriptures, they are called Prasthana Traya, the three foundations of Hinduism. Three scriptures of foundation of Hinduism are the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and what's it called? The Brahma Sutras. Okay. Now, when I look at some of the translations or some of the kind of bhashyas, some of the interpretation of these things, when you look at the different acharyas, they're going a different slant to the same words. So the same Mahavakyas that Vijayabhai just used have been kind of a little bit tweaked, saying this is what he actually meant. Tattva namasi means you are not actually the ultimate reality. Same thing, tattva, no, that means tattva, you are not that. Instead of saying you are ultimate reality, so you are not that. That's what that same word means, by just in a way doing a bit of text torturing. So be it, because we want to promote a particular vision, a particular philosophic vision, so we might in a way do a little bit of kind of tweaking regarding what these Mahavakyas mean. But the Mahavakyas, as you said quite rightly, are saying you are essentially no different from the ultimate reality you have been searching for. You are essentially the spark of divine, so that you don't know it.
Okay. The other question is also philosophical. It says that what is Brahman in its very naturalistic form? Because it's so abstract, yet we believe in it, but we don't know what is it in the more scientific terms. What is your view on that?
Okay, I'll talk about this idea of Brahman or spiritual or spirit underpinning reality in two ways. In very human terms, because we're human beings, so even if you want to try and relate to an abstract idea, we'll use some kind of human terminology. So I'll use it there to start our journey. You see, when you see this idea of compassion, we all seem to have it. Even the animals, insects have it. Insects will feed a little baby, insect, etc., and even kill themselves. So, what is this thing called compassion? This kind of, love that is flowing naturally from every living thing. That is the sign of the spirit, Brahman, manifesting in human terms, compassion. Second thing is, we are all kind of inquisitive regarding the world that we encounter. We are like thirsty for knowledge. Second feature about every living thing, even a single cell being will try and suss out its environment. Where's the heat and light coming from? This kind of becoming, trying to become knowledgeable is the second aspect in human terms of what we call the spirit. The third aspect that I like to point out again and again is these living things that we have are not in compliance with the forces of nature, they're in defiance of it. They don't like to be buffeted by forces of nature. They want to rise above the forces of nature, harness them and rise and sit above them. This is a sign of a living thing. That's what humanity is all about. See, we are sitting with all these lights here. No longer in the clouds, in the wires here. So you harness nature. These are the three kind of human ways of relating to idea of spirituality. Compassion flowing naturally. You're not saying the word love and compassion. Some kind of, you feel affinity for the human beings, other living things, your near and dear ones, whoever. Second, becoming, if you like, knowledgeable. We are inquisitive. Third is becoming empowered. This is the most important definition of a living thing. These are all three signs of the spirit. Doesn't come out of matter. Mr. Dawkins won't agree with me, but this does not come out of matter. He says, this is the way the genetic pool can be maintained. I don't agree. There's something else winding up matter so that these three things can flow out. And these three things are compassion, inquiring the nature of reality, and third, becoming empowered. This is, if you like, the human way of, in a way, trying to get some handle on what is called spirit, Brahman. But now I give the more esoteric vision that comes from people like Adi Shankara. They say, if you want to really press somebody hard and say, no, come on, define Brahman for me. What the heck is it? You say Brahman, Nirgun, Nirakara, some handle, something, just apart from one word they're throwing in my face. By the way, the word Brahman means, Braha means cosmic. Brahman means a cosmic principle, not a person underpinning reality. So far, okay, just abstraction. Mr. Lakhani, give us some handle. The handles that we had, the two ways, same idea. One said, Sat Chit Anand. That means the nature of truth, ultimate reality, ultimate truth. Not just relative truth, but ultimate truth. The nature of ultimate truth, Sat. Chit is of the nature of consciousness. And Anand, it is blissful, not just looking for pleasure. It's not a pleasure principle. It's something higher than pleasure and pain. Bliss. This is the three ways you can link with the idea of ultimate reality in a much more esoteric manner. There's another way we use it. And the other one that came from Adi Shankara, he says, of the nature of asti, bhati, priya. Asti, from the word asti we get the word ACET, and from the word ACT we get the word existence in English. So the nature of existence. Then the second word bhati is the nature of consciousness. And third one you say, It is Priya. It's a sweetie, sweeter than the sweetest. So this is the way we try and encapsulate the idea of Brahman in a more esoteric sense. Now modern science are now coming back to this, especially with the first two, let's say, asti, of nature of existence. Physics is telling the world that you are so sure about, the material world, is nothing but a wiggle in existence, a boom, shudder in existence. So existence is underpinning to reality, it says quantum. And then you talk to a neuroscience, they say consciousness is a real problem for us. We don't know what the heck it is, and yet we can't access reality without this thing called consciousness. The nature of bhati, your consciousness. So it's underpinning to reality. So again, modern science is coming very close to what we've been talking about, this kind of handles on Brahman. In Priya, I have not touched on it, but the reason why, we have this idea of why we must rise above this kind of very hedonistic approach to life, means just living for pleasure principle, and rise above the idea of pleasure and pain to achieve our true nature, which is essentially blissful. This is the third definition. So these are the three ways you can encapsulate the idea of Brahman in more esoteric manner.
Okay. I mean, we have had so many questions today, but I think we only have time for one. Apologies to everybody else whose question we can't take today. Please come back next time so we can try and answer them. The last question I have is that what is the Hinduism's view on the feminist movements who are fighting really hard for equal rights with men in all its aspects?
You see, we had a very kind of nice merry-go-round with Hindus. In very early times, like in the stories of Ramayana, etc., we find women being given equal role. Like Kaikai was a fighter, can you imagine a warrior with bows and arrows fighting, enemy. So women were given equal role in very ancient times. And then in the Middle Ages, women were put in the kitchen, just looking after the domestic requirements. So women were cast into this secondary role. Unfortunately, it's happened throughout all the world civilizations, including Hindus. So women are put in the backstage. The Manusmriti will, in a way, straightway tell you that women are blah blah, etc. And this is the role of women. So, if you like, this is where we went to a kind of low, where women were kind of put in a lesser, important position. Then we have modern India, and I'm so pleased. When I go to India now, in the early days, the women are all just cooking and cleaning, and they say, Lilbai, come here, let's cook for you, Thapla. Now when I go, there is no time for Thapla. Go to the restaurant, boom, boom, little scooter, and they go, we are going to work. Yeah. And I see that, I say, wow, the world has become, India has been charged up. The reason why we have done so well is because women have been unshackled from the kitchen and allowed to work, participate in greater society, in every field. And I'm so proud and pleased. You can have women, fighters in the army, everywhere. So this is happening naturally and very forcefully in India. So we're kind of coming back full circle. Women are given equal dignity. But Vijay, my problem is this. I think now, forget about the role of women in Hindu society. We have come to a stage where we have to worry about the role of men in Hindu society. If you check out any Hindu household, I'm telling you, truthfully, we should rather not take the survey between us either. Yeah. When you say who is controlling the household, you'll be very surprised. It's the women who say, no, tick, click, click, do the shopping, do this. So we are, if you like, now worried about the role of men in Hindu society. Women are coming back with full force, so be it.
It's a good point to explore, because I think women are doing far better than men in education everywhere.
They are far more versatile than we ever thought. They are very versatile. They should be given not only equal, perhaps even higher role, as my daughter keeps telling me.
Okay, I think let's wind up. We still have 1 minute. Let's wind up one quick question. Its general question is, what is the role of art, music and dance in Hinduism? How can we harness that role in our lives?
You see, some other traditions will vilify music and art and all that. Or not art, but music especially. We have never done that. We say that any activity you take on which makes you one-pointed and focused, including art, music, dance, drama, poetry, literature, any activity that makes you one point, or science, that will lead you to a spiritual, if you like, exploration. So every activity, that's why in the Hindu tradition, music and dance are automatically involved with any kind of colorful narrative, etc. Music and dance get involved, art gets involved, dance and drama gets involved, poetry and literature, like this huge Mahabharata story. So we love the idea of becoming spiritual using some of these endearing human enterprises. We have never vilified them. We say incorporate. In fact, I'm going a stage further. I'm saying you can forget about believing in a god or religion or even Hinduism. If you can become focused on any one of these fields, suppose you're a great dancer, you become one-pointed in the process of dancing, that will make you spiritual without reference to religion or Hinduism even. I'm guaranteeing that, because that process, when you see a dancer in full flow, she's in her element. Her element is spirit. She's in her element. So you discover spirituality without tinkling bells, or without doing meditation, through that process of art and music and dance and drama. So be it.
Okay, I think we are up. Time is up now. Sorry, we can't continue any further. But I really thank you all the viewers for joining in today. I really appreciate your participation. Please do join us next week again and have a very interesting session, and ask Dilip some very spontaneous questions.
Difficult ones. Look, Vijay, it's been a real pleasure for you to kind of participate. You've done job as well as Nishit Bhai or anybody else. So thank you very much for participating at a short notice. Thank you, Vijay.
Okay, thank you everybody. See you later. Bye.